What's up, YouTube? This is your girl, Megan. Welcome back to the Hood Astro Queen, to all of my returning subscribers. However, if this is your first time joining me on today, be sure to hit that subscribe button because you know you want to. I know I've been gone for a minute, but I'm back with the jump off, okay? And I just been up to my neck in readings, which I'm not complaining about, by the way. It's just that time of year, people are getting their bookings in, placing their orders, which is great. Okay, so if you are interested in booking your very own natal chart reading, go ahead and contact me at astroworld@gmail.com. That's astro, WERLD, @gmail.com, and we can get you squared away. So today I'm coming to you guys once more with yet another celebrity birth chart reading, this time on none other than Miss Angela Simmons. Now, I did get a request to interpret her chart a few weeks ago, but I'm just now getting around to it. And honey, she had some very fascinating findings. Now, if you guys are not aware, Miss Angela Simmons is the daughter of Rev Run from Run DMC. Now, back in, and I'm kind of telling my age here, back in 2008, okay, I remember being in high school and watching a reality show that Rev Run had. I don't know if it was with VH1, but it was called Run's House. And it featured him and his family. And it was like the early days of reality television. And basically, they were just documenting the ins and outs of their household and their daily plights and what comes along with having a freaking hip-hop legend as a father. And Rev Run is a reformed rapper, but now, as his name implies, he is a reverend. He found God, so to speak, and is like a very religious man. And I thought the family was cute. It was a cute little family, cute little show. And over the years, she's kind of become a socialite. Now, I do remember she and her sister Vanessa, she had an older sister Vanessa, they had a shoe line called, what was it? And my mom actually bought me one of those shoes. It was like a cookie something. Whatever. Y'all drop down in the comment section. Y'all, somebody please help me out here. It was a shoe line, but then also she was just kind of a socialite, and she was romantically linked to Bow Wow. Some people are speculating that she's dating Lil Romeo, and she's now on Growing Up Hip Hop, that show on, I think it's WeTV or something like that. So yeah, she's kind of been here and there, and she's been able to make a nice little viable career for herself, despite being like the daughter of a entertainer. So there's that. Now, a few years ago, she did find herself in some controversy as, she kind of positioned herself as this Puritan, like, I'm a virgin type chick throughout her career, or for as long as she's been in the public eye. All of the interviews and press runs she would do, she would be very vocal about the fact that she was a virgin, that she had very strong morals, and she didn't believe in engaging in premarital sex and so on and so forth. I think she even went on the Breakfast Club back in like 2016 or something like that to really break down her views and why she believed in what she believed in and what led her to make that particular decision. And like a year later, sis popped up pregnant, and people were like, "Wait, huh? Wait, what? Why is it? What's the tea? Like, what? Did we miss something, girl?" And then she turns out to have like been in this relationship with some guy that we've never seen before. He looked a little zesty, if you ask me. But yeah, she was with some guy that nobody had known about, gotten pregnant, and they were actually engaged. The relationship didn't work out. I think he cheated on her, and they broke up, and now she's a single mom like the rest of us. Welcome to the club, sis. I'm not celebrating anyone's. Okay, whatever. Okay, it's just me. Like most of the people who criticized her, it's not that we enjoyed anyone's pain, so to speak. It was just the irony in a person who kind of put themselves up on this high moral pedestal, and then only to like turn around and do the same things that we do. It's kind of weird. And it is like, there is a little bit of like a gratification that you get during seeing something like that. But I think last year her child's father ended up dying. Somebody shot him in the head, and it's just a whole lot of y'all. Like this, y'all gotta go read up, watch some T channels to kind of get the scoop, because I know I'm kind of missing pieces. But I just wanted to give you guys an overview of who Angela Simmons is and like why I was even interested in doing this reading in the first place. Okay, so now that I got that out the way, let's go ahead and take a look at her chart. So Miss Angela Simmons was born on September 18th, 1987 at 3 a.m. in the borough of Queens, New York. Now, this places her sun at the 24th degree of Virgo, which, given that she's a Leo ascendant, falls in her second house. And this can deal with her placing a high value on her virginity. Okay, her having very strong values that more often than not could have been molded by her father, given that the son does deal with the father, okay, who probably advises her regularly. She probably does seek advice from him. And he helps her a lot too, because Virgo is the sign of service, and that second house does deal with advice. This could also deal with where there's a lot of value placed on purity, cleanliness, or where they see virginity as like cleanliness. And her virginity could have served as a large source of pride for her, especially with the sun governing her ascendant, okay, her being a Leo ascendant. And her father just really having a very dominant, she's also a Leo moon as well. Her father having a very dominant presence in her life. So I do feel like a lot of that sentiment came from her father by way of him either instilling these values in her or kind of even, pressuring her to a certain degree, or really holding her to a certain standard as it pertains to the way she carries herself. This could also deal with her being very controlling about her image, even having a father that's very controlling in that respect as well. And this is reinforced with her sun conjoined to her Mars, which is at the 16th degree. So, I mean, yeah, there's that. And then even though the number 16 is a very fated degree in astrology, as it can deal with tragedy, quite frankly, tragedy, but it also deals with deception, okay, because that 16 does break down to 7, and 7 is governed by Neptune. So deception, a lot of deception and illusions surrounding her sex life, okay? Mars is your sexuality, your sex life. And a lot of Virgo Mars individuals, ironically enough, are highly sexual people, okay? This conjunction between her sun and Mars could also deal with there being a desire to be seen as perfect, or her wanting to achieve perfection. So much so that it can create a blind side, and make her subject to scandal, which can also be summed up with that 16th degree. But yeah, Virgo Mars individuals are very sexual, which, like I said, is very ironic. Also, her sun is forming a semi-square to her Pluto in Scorpio, which is, it's in her 4th house if she's a Leo ascendant. And this deals quite literally with her trying to upkeep an image, and things falling apart in the process. Okay. Now this could also point towards the death of that guy, her child's father as well. Her Mars is also in semi-square to her moon, which is one of the many aspects that I see in her chart that can point towards her having a rather strained relationship with her mother. Because you guys have to remember, she actually lived with Rev Run, but Rev Run ended up remarrying. So I don't know if he was ever originally married to her mother, but I know that a large part of her life was spent with Rev Run's wife, like his most recent wife, so her stepmother. They did not speak a lot, like in depth, about the relationship that they had with their actual mother. So that could point towards that as well. But also this semi-square between her Mars, her Leo Mars, her Leo moon and her Virgo Mars can point towards that shocking pregnancy that went against her values, quite frankly. And then also, I meant to mention that conjunction between her Sun and Mars and Virgo also points towards her healthy lifestyle. Because if you guys follow her on Instagram, like I do, I follow her. She's always posting videos of her like exercising. You can tell she's very health conscious, health aware. She's doing yoga. I think she was a vegetarian at some point. That's very, very consistent with Sun conjoined to Mars and Virgo. And this deals with her having a lot of nervous energy. And she probably does suffer from some type of anxiety as well. A lot of mental energy to the point where it can actually be to her detriment if she doesn't find a healthy way to kind of channel that energy, and exercise is great for that. But it could also produce a person who is very health conscious and a picky eater. These people can adhere to different diets such as like veganism, vegetarianism, pescatarianism, stuff like that. So that's very consistent with that. But also her Sun is squaring her Chiron, which is placed in her 11th house at the 28th degree of Gemini. This reinforces or deals with her having a very duplicit nature. Her trying to, I guess you could even say, like, trick people, like just with her identity. I would even look at that as her directly lying about that. Like even her going on interviews and going to these radio stations and stuff. Yeah, that because Gemini does deal with media. Her going to these radio stations and doing these interviews where she's fucking lying about her virginity. So I could see that. But it could also even deal with where she's one way with her father and another way with everyone else. So there's that. And then that number 28 does deal with high pressure situations, crises, and it can break down even into scandal, issues with men, issues with family. So, I mean, a whole lot of shit. Now, her Sun and Mars are squaring her Uranus, placed in her 5th house of Sagittarius, which does deal with rebellion on a certain level. And I also feel like she does adhere to a non-traditional form of spirituality, which can vary or differ greatly from her father being like a reverend, you know what I'm saying? A very traditionally religious type of man who adheres to the Christian faith. I do feel like her faith kind of deviates from that, and that can be the source of some conflict. Okay, her feeling a need to be liberated on a spiritual level. This could also point towards her having a father that feels entitled, one who expects her to act like a robot in a way. This could also even deal with her attracting gay men, which she also has Aquarius on the 7th or in her 7th house, which kind of does like validate my suspicions of her baby's father being a little on the zesty side, but whatever. This could also deal with her being low-key just wild, like off the chain, like a wild child. Uranus in the 5th house can also produce sudden and unexpected pregnancies, which can absolutely point towards the fact that, you know, after she did all of this promo about being a virgin, she popped up pregnant the next week or the next year or the next few months. They can absolutely deal with that. Okay. Her experiencing sudden unexpected pregnancies and things of that nature. And with Aquarius on that 7th house, you know, that also does make sense as far as that pregnancy leading to marriage, because it can produce situations like that, right? Where people hop into marriages very unexpectedly, very like rushed. Like I said, extreme sudden ups and downs in the marriage department. And it could also create sudden divorce. Now, I don't know if they were actually married, but I think they got engaged, but same difference. Now, with her Mars squaring her Saturn, which is also in her 5th house of Sagittarius, this also reinforces this theme of sexual restriction, as it can actually quite literally point to where a person's sexuality feels kind of kneecapped due to religious conditioning. That's that Saturn in Sagittarius, religious conditioning, okay? Religious ideals, spiritual beliefs. And then you have that hypersexualized Virgo Mars, her feeling like her sexuality doesn't really align with, what she's been taught to believe in. Okay. Now, her lunar nodal placements also reflect this theme, as she's a Libra south node, with her south node in her third house, which deals with her trying to upkeep an air of diplomacy, but also being very duplicit. Once again, that word duplicit in nature, because that third house does naturally, or is naturally, governed by Gemini. So her kind of feeling, like I said, that she can trick people into falling for what she represents, or the air that she kind of exudes, that charming and graceful kind of facade. Her being overly strategic and even hyper passive aggressive when it comes to a lot of the ways in which she moves, even in the way that she deals with conflict, the way that she handles people. She's one of those chicks that, like, if you do anything to piss her off, she's probably not going to talk to you. She'll probably just disappear. You know what I'm saying? Like, her just being very sneaky, or just kind of like around the bush about everything, beating around the bush about everything, and trying to project that keeping up with the Joneses mentality. So there's that. But also her Venus is conjoined to her South Node, and it's squaring her Chiron, which once again deals with that lying, her keeping up this air and it blowing up in her face, quite literally. Her Neptune, which is also, because she does have Capricorn intercepted in her fifth house. So her Neptune is squaring her nodes. Okay. And that quite literally does deal with scandal involving her dating life, sex, and children. And her downright lying in order to save face. This is also reinforced with her having Pisces in the 8th house of sex and secrets. She's a full-blown liar. She's just a liar through and through, full stop. I wouldn't be surprised if, while she was doing that interview, I mean, obviously she had to, right? Have been having sex. And I think, what did she say? I think she said that to kind of save face and save her ass after she came out publicly and people realized she was pregnant. She said that she and the guy only had sex once and she got pregnant on the first try. Sis was probably laying it low and spreading it wide. Okay, looking at her chart, she's a super freak. And I feel like she's willing to lie in order to kind of keep up appearances. So, yeah, Lil Mama probably lost her virginity a long time ago. Who knows? But also, with her being a Aries North node, and her also having a little bit of Aries in her 8th house, hedging out that 8th house, she has a karmic responsibility to live her truth and own her own sexuality. Own up to it, sis. Which I feel like maybe, I mean, judging from her Instagram, it kind of looks like she's doing a little bit, kind of, sort of, I guess, because she's always posted up in bikinis and this and that and the third. I don't watch what is it called? Keeping Up with Hip Hop. So if anybody does, feel free to drop down in the comment section and let me know what her storylines are these days. But yeah, in this lifetime, she's supposed to embrace her identity and her sexuality, because she is a very sexual person, and be bold enough to be just straightforward and be who she is in her own identity, good, bad, or indifferent. So yeah. Also, this is reinforced with her Jupiter at the 28th degree of Aries. That makes her very, 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 very sexual. Like I said, sis is a super freak. And she got that Pluto in her 4th house. Okay? Like a Scorpio. Like, she's a freak. Okay? And you can even look at that 4th house as like what people do in their bedrooms. Sis is a whole freak. She probably got all kind of fetishes, all kind of kinks. Like, please. But yeah, that Jupiter at the 28th degree of Aries deals with her even being borderline promiscuous, okay? And also having a lot of high pressure situations surrounding self-actualization, and, like I said, embracing her sexual freedom. Conflict between a person's sexual expression and religious beliefs are also very common when you have Jupiter in Aries, okay? And like I said, at that anaretic degree, it's like that tension is like exacerbated, like times 20. Okay, and it's also conjoined to her midheaven, which is her reputation. Okay, and that's at the 29th degree. So we got that anaretic degree 2 times. And that deals with scandal, highs and lows of reputation, scandals connected to men, sex, and family. And it's also important to note that her Aries North Node is placed in her ninth house. That ninth house, which is traditionally governed by Sagittarius, deals with the truth. So, like I said, living your truth, being true to who you are, okay? Same thing goes for her Jupiter. Her Jupiter is also placed in her ninth house, okay? So, her being truthful about her sexuality, her being truthful about who she is as a person. Also, with her moon at the first degree of Leo, placed in her 12th house of losses, hidden enemies, and even sacrifices, it's actually squaring her Pluto, which makes me believe that, number one, she definitely does have an estranged relationship with her mother. Okay, it can deal to where she's actually closer to her grandmother than she is her own mother. And I've seen this aspect produce a person who feels like, it's almost like they feel like their mother wishes that they were never born, type of thing. Also, this can reinforce the death of her child's father, and can actually point towards him being in a criminal organization of some kind, or him being some type of criminal on the low. Like, I don't know if he was in a gang or what, but I do think she knows more about what happened to him than she's letting on. Not to say I'm not implicating her in it, okay, but I'm not saying she's the one who did it, or she even knows who did it, type of thing. But like, she knows the type of guy that he was, is what I'm trying to say. And this could also point towards her having issues with her son as well. Her having issues raising him, or her relationship with her son being strained as he gets older. They might not have the best relationship, or or maybe being one of those mothers who are too invasive, too controlling. But there's going to be some type of hardship that comes along by way of her son, okay? There could have even been an issue involving the paternity of her child, to be quite honest. And, you know, this is just speculative on my part, okay? Allegedly, but strictly based on what I'm seeing in her chart. Yeah, she could have had some issues with paternity. And that's not to say the dude who passed isn't her son's father. Maybe there was another dude in the picture. You see what I'm saying? Like, it could have played out in a variety of different ways. But I do see like children and paternity being an issue. This could also deal with where she's attracted to bad boys. It can deal with her having a lot of secret affairs. So once again, her being very sneaky, very like calculative, and governing away from the public eye, you know. And with her ascendant squaring her Pluto, she actually reminds me of Drake, because I think he has this configuration, and how, you know, he's just very like, everybody knows Drake is a freak because he be skeeting in bitches with no condoms and shit, and he just popped up randomly with this like secret baby that nobody even really knows, like she's very secretive, and like I said, very, very freaky. You can tell she's very freaky, very promiscuous. Yeah, this could also even deal with her having some type of issues involving a home. Now, I remember that she and her boyfriend purchased a home, or her fiance purchased a home together, and it hit the shade room that he had some other chick living there. That could absolutely be a manifestation of her Leo moon squaring that Pluto. Her having some type of in-home drama, or drama surrounding a home, debt tied to home ownership. So like, it could be some issues in regards to like buying houses with her. Also, with her Pluto squaring her ascendant, she could even have some of them Cardi B issues, which is like issues with the vagina. Like, I don't know if this could be like STDs. Like, she could attract men who give her STDs. She could just naturally have issues with her vaginal area, be it yeast infections and whatever. So, yikes. And then, like everything else, I would be here all day. This reading is long enough. So yeah, that is the birth chart of Miss Angela Simmons. Y'all drop down in the comment section. Let me know, what do you guys think of her? Do you watch Growing Up Hip Hop? Like, what's the tea on her these days? And yeah, make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And as always, until the next video, I holla.